Story time with Jacqueline. Today, it's not the normal story time you do on YouTube. It's a story time where you read a book. I will be reading Lamb in the Laundry. Since it's such a long book, we will be reading only one chapter. The chapters are big. Let me see how much chapters. How many pages? 12. Okay, this should be a good chapter. Ready? asked Dr. Adam. Coming, Mandy replied, smiling at her dad. Blackie wants to carry the picnic basket. Dr. Adam grinned. As long as he doesn't eat all the food, he said. Even Blackie couldn't handle all that, said James. He pushed his glasses up higher on his nose and bent down to Blackie. Blackie was James's Labrador. Put it down, Blackie, he said. Blackie looked up at him and wagged his tail, but he held on to the handle of the basket. Mandy laughed. He isn't getting any more obedient, she said. James brushed his hair out of his eyes. Down, Blackie, he said. Blackie looked up at James sorrowfully and barked. The basket tumbled to the ground. Got it, Mandy said, grabbing it. She looked at Blackie. You'll get your share of the picnic, Blackie, she said. Lucky there isn't anything breakable in there, said Dr. Emily. Mandy looked at her mom, leaning through the kitchen window of the cottage. It's a wonder he could pick it up, she said. What did you put in there, Mom? Emily Hope laughed and her green eyes danced. Her red hair shone in the sun. Oh, this and that, she said. Enough to keep 3 hungry people happy. And a hungry dog, James said, grabbing Blackie's collar before he could get to the basket again. Enough to feed an army, said Dr. Adam as he got into the car. Come on, we don't have all day. Dr. Emily laughed. But that's exactly what you have, she said. A whole day to wander on the moors and have a picnic. Mandy turned to her mother. It's a shame you can't come, Mom, she said. Emily Hope shook her head. Somebody has to watch the clinic, she said, and it's been ages since your dad has had a day off. And I'm going to make the most of it, Adam Hope said. Get in, you 2. 3, he added, looking at Blackie. Mandy and James got into the car. Blackie bounded after them. Have a good time, Dr. Emily called. Jean Knox, the clinic receptionist, appeared at the window beside her. Enjoy yourselves, she said. Mandy looked back as the car drove out of Animal Arc's driveway. Dr. Emily and Jean waved from the window. It was a lovely sunny morning, and Mandy wished her mom could have come with them. She sighed. Dr. Adam turned his head. Someone has to take care of the animals, he said. Mandy nodded. Animal Arc was a busy veterinary practice, and both her parents were vets. They didn't have much free time, and Mom was right. It had been ages since Dad had had a day off. It's going to be wonderful, Mandy said. Dr. Adam laughed. That's the spirit, he said. I'm looking forward to this picnic. So is Blackie, James said. Mandy gave the Labrador a hug. First, you have to do a little walking, Mandy said. Then we eat. Blackie wagged his tail and jumped up, knocking James's glasses off. Blackie, said James, laughing. Blackie wasn't the most obedient dog in the world or the best behaved, but he was a lot of fun. Where are we going? James asked as he settled his glasses back on his face. Mandy turned around to point out the car window to the moor above Welford Village. Up there, she said. Black Tor. Perfect, said James. It's been a long time since I've been to Black Tor. The car swung across the crossroads by the Fox and Goose pub, and Mandy and James waved to Mr. Hardy, the owner, as they passed. He looked up from rolling a barrel into the pub and waved back. Then they were out of the village and climbing toward the moor. Mandy loved the moor. It could be wild and windy in winter, and the snow could pile itself into drifts 4 feet deep. But today, in the spring sunshine, it looked perfect. The car climbed higher, and Mandy and James looked back. Welford lay spread out below them. They could see Animal Arc, the old stone cottage at the front, and the modern extension that housed the clinic at the back. They spotted James's house at the other end of the village and Mandy's grandparents' cottage with their trailer home sitting outside. And behind the Fox and Goose pub was the lane where Walter Pickard and Ernie Bell lived, both church bell ringers like Grandpa. Then there was the church and the post office and the town hall. It looks like a toy village, James said. Look, said Mandy, you can see Walton. There's the school. Walton was the neighboring town 2 miles from Welford. Ugh, groaned James. Don't mention school. Not when vacation just started. And there's the cottage hospital, Mandy said, pointing out to a long, low building on the outskirts of Walton. It was the little local hospital for Walton and Welford. Grandpa says there's a new head nurse there now. James nodded. I know, he said. Johnny Pearson broke his leg playing soccer. He's in the cottage hospital. Mark says he's scared stiff of the head nurse. Mark was Johnny's older brother. He was in Mandy's class at school. Mandy made a face. She must be bad if Johnny's afraid of her, she said. Johnny's a nightmare. James grinned. Mark says it's time somebody kept Johnny in line. Mandy turned to face the way they were going. Look, Dad, she said. There are lambs in the fields already. Dr. Adams' beard twitched as he smiled. As if I didn't know, he said. How many calls did I have last week? Oops, sorry, Mandy said. The Hopes were always very busy at lambing time. James was looking out of the side window. Mrs. McFarland says that somebody moved into Fort Beck Farm, he said. The McFarlands ran the Welford post office. Mrs. McFarland knew everything that was going on almost before it happened. Dr. Adam nodded. The Spillers, he said. I've been in to see them a couple of times. The people with the little girl? Asked Mandy. Her dad nodded. Jenny. She's 6. And Mrs. Spiller is expecting another baby any day now. Do they have lambs? Mandy asked. Dr. Adam nodded again. This is their first lambing season. The Spillers aren't country folk. Mr. Spiller lost his job and they bought that old farm. I have to hand it to Jack Spiller. He's doing a good job. Only thing is, they can't afford to pay anybody to help them, so he has to do it all by himself. Mandy opened her mouth to ask why Mrs. Spiller didn't help. She was so used to her mom and dad working together, sharing the load. Then she remembered the new baby. That must be hard at lambing time, James said. Dr. Adam gave him a smile. That's why I thought you wouldn't mind if we stopped in on the way to Black Tor. Just to see how they're doing. Mandy grinned. Typical. If her dad thought someone needed a hand, he would be there. Day off or no day off. I'd love to see some lambs, Mandy said. Dr. Adam glanced at Blackie, but James said, no need to worry. Blackie's no problem around sheep. He's as gentle as a lamb, Mandy finished, and they laughed. Down here, then, Dr. Adam said as he swung the car down a dirt track off the road. The road was bumpy, as if it hadn't been used in a long time. How long have they been here? James asked. Dr. Adam shrugged. About 8 months, he said. Jack Spiller has worked his fingers to the bone on that farm, trying to make it work out. It was pretty run down, wasn't it? James asked. Dr. Adam nodded. That's the only reason he could afford it. He put every penny he had into it. And did the work on the farm buildings himself. But you don't need to get too much done in the winter. Let's hope things start looking up for them soon. Mandy looked at her dad thoughtfully. It sounded as if the Spillers were having a hard time. The car bumped and jolted its way along the road and turned in at the farmyard. Mandy looked around. The farmhouse was long, low, old-fashioned kind, but it had been freshly whitewashed, and there were daffodils growing in the half-barrels at the door, and pots of geraniums on the window ledge. The curtains on the windows were blue gingham, and the whole place looked neat and clean. Need some work done on that barn, Dr. Adams said as he stopped the car. Mandy looked at the barn. It was true. It did look a little run down, but there was fresh wood showing here and there where it had been mended. It was clear Mr. Spiller was working on the place. He started repairing it, she said. Then she saw an old shed in the far corner of the farmyard. Look at that, she said. Dr. Adams looked. It's beyond repair, he said. That needs to be knocked down. Dr. Adams tooted his horn. Nothing. No sign of life. Mandy looked at the blue curtains blowing in the windows of the house. Where were the Spillers? Jack Spiller is probably out lambing, said Dr. Adams. What about Mrs. Spiller and the little girl? Mandy asked. Dr. Adams shook his head. He looked worried. Maybe you should go inside, James said to him. The door is open. Dr. Adams hesitated. He wasn't the type to go barging into people's houses without asking. But Mandy could see he was concerned. Just then, the little girl emerged from the house. Her dark hair was tied in ponytails with bright red ribbons. The ribbons matched her red jumper and red rubber boots. She stood on the doorstep looking at them. Look, said Mandy. That's Johnny, Dr. Adams said. Mandy scrambled out of the car and walked slowly across the farmyard. The little girl looked scared to death. Mandy didn't want to frighten her anymore. Hello, she said as she got nearer. You're Jenny, aren't you? The little girl nodded but didn't say a word. Mandy smiled encouragingly. Where's your mom? She asked. Jenny turned her face up to Mandy and her eyes filled with tears. She raised a hand and pointed to the house. In there, she said. She's sick. She has a tummy ache, and Daddy isn't here. James and Dr. Adams were out of the car now. Dad, said Mandy. Dr. Adams' face looked worried. I heard, he said quietly. Keep Jenny out here while I go see what's wrong. And he strode into the house. Mandy and James looked at each other. Jenny's face was streaming with tears now. Mandy reached an arm out to give her a hug, but then Blackie bounded up and began to lick the little girl's face. It was like magic. At once the tears disappeared. Oh, said Jenny. Is he yours? He's mine, James said. His name is Blackie. Jenny put her hand out to pet the dog. He's pretty, she said. Can I play with him? Daddy doesn't let me play with Jess. Of course you can play with him, James said. Then he turned to Mandy. Who's Jess? He asked. Mandy shrugged her shoulders. Things at Fort Beck Farm were getting stranger and stranger. It seemed like ages, but it could only have been minutes before Dr. Adam came out of the house. His face looked very serious. He drew Mandy away from Jenny and spoke in a low voice. Miss Spiller's baby is on the way, Mandy, he said. I don't think we have much time. She isn't going to have it here, is she? Asked Mandy. Dr. Adams shook his head. I don't think that would be a good idea, he said. Lambing is one thing, but human babies are another. Mandy looked at Jenny playing happily with Blackie and James. James was doing a great job keeping the little girl's mind off her mother. Is there anything I can do? Mandy said. Dr. Adam nodded. I can't leave Miss Spiller, just in case, he said. Jack Spiller is in the top field lambing. Go and get him. Mandy's mind raced with questions, but one look at her dad's face told her there was no time. Tell him to get back here right now, said Dr. Adam. He has to get his wife to the cottage hospital. Mandy froze for a moment looking at her dad. It wasn't often he was so abrupt. He looked really worried. Run, her dad said. Mandy turned on her heels and ran for the top field. And that's the end of the chapter. So, guys, I hope you like my reading story. So, bye-bye.